So, why don't you tell me a little bit about why you became an OT first, and then how
Mhm.
you evolved into doing your own business, and the niche that you have created. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Okay. So I have been an occupational therapist for almost 18 years. I did my training in California. I'm from California originally, and I loved it. I came kind of through the back door to OT. I was initially going to be a physical therapist and
Hmm.
was getting all my prereqs for that. And then my mom had a medical crisis that was going on, and she was going to lose her leg, and we were in the
Mm.
hospital, and they sent in a PT to talk to her, and the PT was horrible to her, and was
Mm.
just very, very judgy and very blameful that she was going to lose her leg. Like, look what you did. Like, now here we are. And I was just horrified. And about 20 minutes later, the OT came in and was like, man, this really sucks. Like, I'm so sorry that you're having to go through this, but let's figure out how you can still live your life if this happens. And I was like, what? Oh, what is this all about? Like, I love that. And unfortunately, my mom passed during that
Mm.
hospital stay, and it didn't kind of get past that. But that week, I went and changed my major and changed to
Wow.
OT, and that was kind of that life changing moment. To do that. So when I graduated, I decided that I really loved the hospital. And I was like, oh my gosh, to be that person in that moment when something horrible is happening in their life and being like, you know what, you can do this. I'm gonna help you do this. That's what I wanted to do. But I decided that I was going to try to work in as many different settings as I could, so I could learn as much as I could. And I traveled and I worked in home health and everything. But I really loved the ICU, and that was kind of my bread and butter for a long time. So that was primarily where I did everything, and was practicing there, and was great. And then COVID hit, and that was a lot for those of us that were in the ICUs and kind of in
Oh,
the
I
early
was in
days
there
before
too.
we, yeah, before we even knew what COVID was, right? And we were kind of like, everybody's really sick and we don't know what's going on. And then you're flipping patients and helping everybody's on a vent, and I was like, I need a little break. And about that
Hmm.
time, I had a girlfriend out in Nebraska, which is where I'm at now, who was starting a medical staffing agency. And she's like, I really need somebody who's clinical, that understands therapy, that can kind of come in and help us start this business up. So I took a little break from patient care and went out and helped her with HR and compliance and making sure that therapists really knew what they were doing so that they could go out in all these crazy settings during COVID, which was insane. And
Right.
then after a while, I was like, I really miss patient care. And one of the things I noticed in the hospital was there's such a disconnect, right? So by the time somebody's in the hospital and something horrible is going on, they're in this situation, and there's probably some things that we could have done to maybe not get to that point. There was such a disconnect. And I was like, I think that I can make a difference. I think if I get people before this, we can maybe avoid this. And so that's kind of where the idea of DRM Wellness came from. And I was like, I can do this, and I can do this outside. And that's how I kind of got connected with Kara Welke, with her kind of helping people, therapists, start their own business and kind of think outside of that corporate box. And I went live. Gosh, I've had my clinic now for 2 years, so 2.5 years probably now. I've been doing this, and I love it. And I'm kind of a hybrid. So mobile, I go into people's homes, but I also have a little clinic that I do some things in, not a lot. I'm not there a lot, but it's nice to have that clinic so that I can bring people in if I need to, or if they're just not wanting me in their home because for whatever reason. So I kind
Yeah.
of do a little bit of both, but I love it. I love being an OT so much. I feel like I'm forever standing on social media trying to explain what we do and explain why we're so needed and why we can make such a difference in people's lives. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me what your business what it really focuses on. What is
mhm.
that niche?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I kind of have a couple different areas to my business, but at the heart of it, what I really love and kind of what I specialize in is working with bigger bodies, right?
Hmm.
It's that area that gets forgotten and kind of pushed off into the corner. It's really that kind of last area of acceptable judgment for people is bigger bodies. And so what I try to do as an OT is I try to focus on not even weight loss really. I'm working on movement and function in bigger bodies. And a lot of times weight loss comes to that, but I really market towards fitness for bigger bodies for people that feel super judged in healthcare in general, or feel like they need to get better. They know that they need to get moving more and they can't, or they go to a gym. I have one client right now who found himself on somebody else's video getting poked fun at on the internet. And he's like, I will never step foot in a gym again, ever. And so I see him in his home. For those kind of things. And so I really try to focus on that. I still see seniors and work on aging in place. And I do some testing for attorneys, for functional testing for those kind of things. But really what I love and what I really specialize in is bigger bodies. And I've been a bigger body and I understand the judgment that comes with that, and just the difficulty sometimes in just basic daily function and daily life being bigger, right? And we're kind of in that whole world now where we're back to that 90s look of, what did they used to call it in the 90s, like heroin chic, that really super skinny kind of gaunt
Right.
kind of thing. And those of us that don't have those bodies face a lot of judgment. And sometimes it's not even that, we're not even that large. It's just we don't fit standards of society. And so I think it's really important that it doesn't matter what size you are, you should still be able to live a happy functional life and do the things that you want to do. So that's kind of my specialty.